So I would like to introduce Carlos Herrera from Interactive PDF. He'll be our guest speaker today. If we could just kind of give a 30-second elevator pitch and let Carlos know who we are and what we do. Marianne, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the group.
Sure. Sorry, I'm not on camera. My internet seems to be cutting out, so I figured that taking the video off and shutting everything down just helps. I did want to join this morning, but I'm Marianne D'Alessandro. I'm a virtual assistant, and my business is Time Flies Admin Services. So I help business owners stay productive, look after all their administrative tasks, so that they have more time to focus on selling in their business.
Yes, and she's very
nice
good
to meet you, Marianne.
All right, Anthony. Are you there? Oh, there he is.
Yes, I am, Kathryn. So my name is Anthony Reed, and I run a residential and commercial cleaning company. And I'm excited to hear about this interactive PDF.
I tell you, Ivan and I saw it, and it was like, wow, it was pretty neat. Yeah, and I'm just gonna mention it, if we're not talking, if we wouldn't mind just putting on our mute, just so that we don't interrupt and my cat doesn't take everybody for a loop there. Good morning, Maggie. Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Maggie Stice. I'm a travel and copywriter. As I mentioned before, I'm right now at the Best Western in the Falls, Cairncroft. I can find what's unique about your business and help you get the word out. For instance, this hotel. The really unique things about this place are the poolside, as you can kind of see here. And because it's got this beautiful courtyard, and there's even a arcade for the kids, and it's got a great Irish restaurant too. So there's other hotels that do with different aspects, and your business all have different aspects, and so I can find what makes you unique.
There's that travel part coming out, eh, Maggie? Thank you. Good morning, Michael.
I saw Michael sent a message. It's probably because he can't talk.
No? Okay. We'll.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, for all of a sudden, and I've never had this happen, my screen, instead of seeing all you guys on there, there's one person. And I don't know how it happened, but now I just see Kathryn. That's it. Anyways, good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Palme, and I help people sleep at night. I do that by finding out my clients' financial goals and putting together a plan to help them reach those goals. And I also help people grow their money. TFSAs, RESPs, RRSPs. Want to make sure you have a safe and secure financial retirement. Work with small businesses also for group health benefit plans, and do the same for individuals. Mike Palme, Nelson Mellon Associates, the cooperators in the beautiful Dundas, Ontario. Let's get together and talk about your financial future.
There's that good looking Yuri. Oh, well, or his wall. Right. Good morning, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us. Can you just give us a intro, please?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia Cordova, and I guess you want to know what I do, right?
Yeah.
Well,
with your big logo there.
Yeah, there you go. So I work at a shelter system in York Region through Salvation Army called York Housing and Supports. I'm an operational trainer for all of their staff, as well as a support staff for any type of crisis that go down. So that's my one job. My other job is I'm a trustee of York Region for the Public School Board, one of the 12. So today I'm not working. I'm working on both simultaneously always. As Kathryn knows, I'm a go-go person, probably about 16 to 18 hours a day since COVID. So it's been crazy. But I'm also a trainer and been a long-time trainer with alongside Kathryn from the time the time my first child was in my tummy, which was a long time ago. And so I'm an instructor trainer, and it's becoming a family business, it looks like, because my husband is one too for a long time, and my daughter is recently taken an interest, which is thankful for me, because our jobs are going to become very busy very soon when the phase 2 is lifted and we're into phase 3. So that's me. I'll put my phone on my video on no more video, just in case you have the background and just for privacy purposes. But
Yeah.
hi,
No,
everyone.
thanks, Cynthia.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thanks. Yeah, and yeah, being the lead, she does a gazillion training stuff for the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought she would really enjoy this. Thanks again, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Sita, welcome. Good morning. Can you do your introduction?
Good morning, everybody. So I am an aspiring home decorator. I got into this passion at the start of this year, actually. And before the epidemic, I was seriously looking to go back to school, university, to further my education for that field. But in light of what's taking place, it's now made me rethink it over and kind of made me re-strategize how I want to go about it. So it's allowed me to be more creative, and now I want to take a new avenue. Hence the reason why I'm in these business Zoom meetings, so I can find new ways of networking and getting feedback from other professionals, and so that I can better my business and better grow in it.
That's a lot of B's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing though when we have all this downtime, isn't it, that we can start being creative because we're not rush to the next spot, right? Yeah, thank you. Yuri, welcome. If you can do your introduction, please.
Good morning, everyone. Regardless of what it is, whether it's I sometimes have 5 or 7 Zoom meetings in a day, so that seems like a full day as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm my kind of day trade or day job is I'm a realtor, I guess, and mortgage broker and woodworking enthusiast. I mean, what else? What else? Oh, I did a little bit of a beekeeping gig the other day. I would know. So,
wow.
But on a serious note, yeah, when it comes to real estate, I help my clients with purchasing, selling, but I don't focus on the transaction. I'm a relationship guy. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not telling you to buy it just for the heck of it, just so I get the commission. So I wouldn't recommend you to buy if I wouldn't buy it. Let's put it that way. So
thank you, Ivan. Good morning.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ivan Sutton with myagency.ca. We're a digital marketing company here in Hamilton. We provide digital marketing solutions, including web design, search engine optimization, the social media marketing. We do content development, including videography and photography, et cetera, especially for products. So that's us here in Hamilton at myagency.ca, and I've put the information actually in the chat if anybody wants to reach out.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, don't forget, folks, that was something I've got written down, I forgot to mention at the beginning. Please put your contact information in the chat so that if anybody wants to reach out, you've got that information, and certainly Carlos will make sure that your information is available, as well as you're aware, everybody, this is getting videotaped, so it will be there with Carlos's stuff. Just a quick introduction of myself, Kathryn Davies from Life's Emergency Training. We are an on-site first aid, CPR, and AED first aid company, also offering now blended learning, and that's where I got my interest looking into what Carlos has. And man, to steal a word from Ivan, it's pretty sexy, I must admit. So again, our guest is Carlos from interactivepdf.com, right? .com?
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. You mentioned when we were talking that you have a business partner.
Yes, so I'll just do a quick introduction of myself.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm
okay.
Carlos, guys. I represent Interactive PDF, which we are a digital engagement company. So pretty much what that means is what we do is we create interactive PDFs specifically for learning. And during my presentation, I'll explain exactly how it is that we do that. First and foremost, I'm sorry for my long shabby hair. I'm not a hippie. Nothing bad with that. I'm just saying I'm not what I'm not. It's just with my barber being closed, I have not been able to get my hair cut. And I'm a little self-conscious about it, and I'm just babbling now, but sorry about that.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. I
I'm
can
not.
relate. I can relate. Yeah, Yuri and Ivan are showing off now. Yeah. How long have you guys been in business?
So we've been in business since last year.
Okay.
And just a little bit of history.
Yeah.
The CEO and founder, his name is Harish Chauhan, and he's an instructional designer. And he's the one who came up with the idea, the concept, and started the business. And being an instructional designer, he saw a few gaps when it came to learning and learning strategies that companies have been implementing. And one of those gaps is post-training support. So that's what the gap that we're trying to fill, just as a quick
Yeah, overview, yeah.
and so that you understand the context.
Okay, so then your presentation is really going to show us then that difference, because I know your website says that your advantages over e-learning, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So on that note, I will give it over to you, Carlos.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, Adam. We'll get you to introduce yourself. Okay, later. Bye.
No problem.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So give me 1 second. Did it work? No.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, you can see my screen? Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, cool.
There we go. You got it.
So, hi guys. So once again, I'm going to be introducing what Interactive PDF is, what my company does, and how hopefully it can benefit you. The way I like to phrase it nowadays, it's your new digital Rolodex. I actually got this idea from Ivan, so I'll give him all the credit for that. Ivan, thank you. It's exactly what it is. And so I'm just going to show you a little bit about how we came about with this solution. So pretty much what's happening is that nowadays we're entering into a new era of learning. As we've all experienced, one of the biggest problems that companies have been encountering is just helping to support their employees and their team members from working from home, right? So before you would come into the office and you would have those personal dialogues and support would be easy and pretty much right at your fingertips. Nowadays, that's not really the case because you have to reach out either through Zoom, phone call, email, and that's pretty much the only way of communication. And so what this has led to is just a new concept where people are trying to get things done right now or trying to learn right now. And so that's where we have learning in the flow of work, is that while you're doing your work and there's something that you have to learn, is it possible for you to learn right away then and there while you're doing your work? Or do you have to take time off, maybe a couple minutes, maybe a couple hours, who knows, to figure it out what it is that you're learning or just find a piece of information? So pretty much it came down to dividing up learning between micro-learning and macro-learning, where in micro-learning we have, I need help right now, and macro-learning, I want to learn something new. So pretty much another way to break it up is classroom learning, or just formal learning is pretty much the official term. And then independent learning, which would fit more into micro-learning, right? So classroom learning are, classes and courses that you take in order to learn the theory, the concepts, the in-depth information that you need to know about that subject. And then micro-learning can essentially be broken down into two ways to explain it. Either microdosing the information, so that means just giving it to you little bit by little bit, or as it says over here, just providing help in small quantities right after the formal training occurs. So for example, this graph will show you exactly what it is that I mean, is that usually when you're trying to teach people, or a vast majority of people, you would start with micro-learning, because again, it's very important to learn the theory and the basics and just provide them with as much information as possible. But then after that initial training, you want to make sure that you're adding additional support, or what I would like to call post-training support. So by that, I mean, are you giving them daily reminders, or are they, going through their notes daily? Are they just trying to reinforce that information? So the analogy I like to use is, when you go to school, you don't just go to the classroom and then go home and then ride your bike or golf or swim or whatever it is. You have to go home, you have to do your homework, and you have to reinforce that information that you just learned, or you have to study, right? So you still have to go through your textbooks, you have to read, you have to do a whole bunch of things. So that would be an example of microlearning. And that's something that really hasn't been taken forward in the industry overall, right? Some companies are doing it, some companies are not, where they just deliver the initial classroom phase, is what we like to call it. But then there's minimal support when it comes to the microlearning phase, or to the post-training support phase. So that's pretty much what we do. iPDFs are the ultimate job performance tool. So what it is that we do is, if you already have a strategy in place, or if not, but you want a strategy in place, what we do is we create interactive PDFs for that post-training support. And the way we do it is we take your existing training material, and what we do is we convert it into an interactive PDF. And as you can see here, our interactive PDFs are designed differently. They're designed to look like a website. So it's a website within your file. And the reason why we do this is because this allows for easier and faster access to your information. So instead of having to scroll through hundreds of pages or dozens of pages, instead of having to use your Control F function, which only works on finding words, not really content, so you still have to scroll through a selection of words that your function provided, you can just, in a couple of clicks, find your information by following what we like to call our decision tree model. Right? So based on the decisions that you make, it will lead you to whichever specific and relevant information that you're looking for. And the reason why we do this is because we want to reduce the resistance and the barriers when it comes to learning, or when it comes to change, or when it comes to finding access to information. The reason for that is because the more barriers you have in place, or the more resistance there is, the less likely it is for someone to look and find that information. It also increases frustration, which can obviously affect the performance. And you want your employees, you want your teammates, even upper management, you want your managers, your supervisors, and your CEOs to be performing well, to not be stressed, because then they take out that stress on you, and then you take it out on someone else, and you take it out on someone else. So that's what we try to do. We try to increase performance by reducing barriers and by reducing resistance. And the specific aspect that we focus on is, again, just making sure that your information is easily accessible. And that's how we work, where we don't do anything when it comes to the formal training or anything like that. What we try to do is we try to implement our tool into your overall learning strategy. And by that, we just help you reinforce the micro stages of learning. And the reason for that is, again, as I was talking about before, these are some of the performance problems caused by lost knowledge, right? So for example, procedures are documented incorrectly. So you may think that because you delivered a seminar, because you delivered a week-long workshop, people already know what it is that they're supposed to know. That's not the case, because they come back from the seminar, they come back from the workshop, and they've pretty much forgotten 70% of what you've told them. And the only way they reinforce that knowledge that you gave them is by repetition, repetition, repetition. But you're not going to repeat a seminar or a workshop again and again and again. It's just not practical for obvious reasons. And so what type of support are you offering them so that they don't always have to come to you, right? So if you're a supervisor and you have a team who's working with you, what are you doing to help support them so that you don't have, let's say, 5, 10, or 15 people always coming to you for help, right? Other problems are inadequate documentation and training, inadequate filing procedures, failure to identify and articulate strategic knowledge, critical systems or process knowledge concentrated in one person. So this is a common one that I find is a huge issue, is that common procedures and common knowledge is focused into one person. And unfortunately, that one person hasn't written everything down, right? And so they're the only, let's say, book of knowledge or resource that can be accessed, but their time is important as well, and they have to be focused on something else, right? Or if they're like my boss, they're scatterbrain and everything is just everywhere. And then I have to spend 2 hours just looking for the information that he just dumped in some G drive or database or hard drive. Like it's awful. So another way of looking at it is that, you know, if your employees or your teammates are focused on finding information, then they're not working and they're not performing their job. And these are just some statistics of what could happen whenever it is that you're not organized, you're not filing information, or information is just not easily located. So for example, just because you dump everything into a database or a Google G Drive doesn't mean that that information is easy to find. So an example that I gave last night was, let's say you're talking to your kids, and I'm sure mothers can really relate to this, and your kids are like, Mom, where's my baseball glove? Or Mom, where's my t-shirt? And then you say, oh, I left it in your room. Well, that's not very specific, because where in the room? Is it in their closet? Is it under their bed? Under their bed? Is it on their bed? Is it in a drawer? Like where? Where exactly is it? And that's what we try to do with interactive PDFs. We try to specifically and accurately point you to the information required. That way it minimizes any time and any frustration that you might experience when it comes to actually finding it. And for here, I'll give you an example. So on the left, you have an interactive PDF that we did for the Ontario government. And on the right was the first version where you see just the traditional manual. And you have your table of contents where you can find your information. So you're obviously still trying to find it. And on the left is the interactive PDF where you're just clicking through information, again, based on the decision tree strategy or model. And you find your information. Whereas on the right, as you can see, you're still, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this before, you have to go through the table of contents, and that's if you look at the table of contents. Then you have to scroll through the pages. You're still scrolling until there, you find your information. Wait, now? Now?
What a difference.
Yep. And so that's what I meant when I mentioned before about the Control F function, right? So just because you find the relevant word search doesn't mean that's the content or the information that you're looking for, which is why if you noticed, my mouse cursor was going over the word specifically that I was looking for, because yeah, I did find the word, but it wasn't the information or the content specific to what I was looking for.
Wow, no, a minute. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. And then obviously if you keep printing, so for example, training manuals or operation manuals, and if you print this, that's even worse.
Wow.
So what I'll do is I'll just show you quickly an example or samples. So this is our case study, whereas you can see here, this is in a PDF format, by the way. So it's pretty much accessible on any operating software. And you can click or scroll through information, it doesn't matter. So that's part of our philosophy, where we want to make everything user-centric and non-linear and entirely based on your decision. So if you still prefer, because it's maybe a short document, to scroll, you can scroll. But then that's when it comes to a 100 or 200 page document, that's obviously not something that you want to do. So then you can just click. And then from here, based on the design and the layout and the way your information is organized, you can quickly find relevant information that you want or need.
Are you creating these all in the Acrobat Pro?
So we use a variety of software, but our end product will always be in a PDF format. So then you can access it with Acrobat Pro, you can access it with just the reader. It's even accessible through the online browser. So you know how sometimes when you click a download a PDF file and then you open it, but it opens in the Google browser, it's also accessible through that. And it just works like this. So another example, because we were talking about training, is again, so this was something that we did in the past for a client. And this was the first training. This was the first training manual that was given out. And this was for a SAP software that they were implementing within their company. And as you can see here, it was 50 to 388 pages, or sorry, it was 388 pages total. And you know, you expect your employee to read through this and learn all this. And yeah, you know, that is the expectation, of course. But why do you have to make it difficult? Why do you have to make it, you know, a chore, a pain? You don't. You don't have to. And so this was a sample that we gave them when we threw our pitch, where instead you can have your information organized like this.
Wow.
So this is where Harish's experience as an instructional designer came in, where he pretty much organizes things into the decision tree method so that based on what you're looking for, you just follow a couple of question prompts is another way of putting them, and you can just find your information quickly and easily. And then you can go back if you need to and go somewhere else. Well, this is just a sample, so not all of them are working, but yeah.
That really takes advantage of the new adage for adult education as well, as that
Absolutely.
It should be on a constant basis as opposed to just throw it all to them once a year kind of thing, right?
Yep, absolutely. And one of the best things about this is that instead of introducing new software, you're introducing old software and an old concept where all you're doing is you're pointing and clicking. You don't have to learn how to boot it up. You don't have to learn any additional features, nothing like that, right? Everyone has been pointing and clicking for the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's already an ingrained, skill.
And Carlos, you're able to integrate into this a form so people can fill out a survey.
Yes. So this is a sample. Yeah. So this is a sample that I didn't show you guys earlier, but it's another one that we made. And this was more for a promotional marketing piece from an infographic. So we made it a little bit more interactive, but at the same time, what we did was we included a video within it. So you can embed videos within it. And you can have input fields.
That's pretty cool.
So if you have a form that they have to fill out, just like that.
Wow.
And they never have to leave. They never have to leave the screen. They just, again, follow the command prompts, and they can quickly email the form back to the person who it is that they have to send it to. So if you want another example, is that the government of Ontario, and I know because I had to do this last year, they're already using interactive PDFs in this format where in my case, my example, it was that I lost my passport and I needed to reapply and fill out some information. So nowadays they also have interactive PDFs where instead of printing the forms, signing them, and then bringing them in, you can just fill them out on the computer like this. And what else? And another way.
Could you use that, could you use that for quizzes or self-assessments or tests or stuff like that?
Yeah, so you can do that for quizzes and you can do that for tests, absolutely. Yeah, the only thing that they have to do is they have to remember to save, because it's in a PDF format. So if they want to save their, if they want their inputs to stay there, they have to go to File and Save.
Great.
And just submit. What else was I going to show? Oh yeah. And then another example of how we can index information. So again, taking the digital, this is more of a digital Rolodex, interactive PDF, where you want your Rolodex so that you can find information quickly. So in this case, it could be marketing materials, white papers, case studies, videos, or industry recognition. And then from there, all you have to do is follow the column on the left to see what information you're looking for, what language do you want it, and then just click the download site. And so what happens here is this can work in two ways. Either we can attach the specific form or the information to the interactive PDF. So because it's already attached and downloaded, then you don't have to be connected to the internet. Or for an extra security measure, if you want them connected to your online database, then this can definitely take you to an online database or online URL so that you can find your information. It all depends on what steps you want your team members and your employees to go through, right? And same thing for videos, white papers, industry recognition. If there's multiple pages, again, you can either scroll if you want to. We give you that freedom, that liberty, or you can just click arrows, just like that. Again, just a website within your file.
So that would eliminate the, what file did I put that in?
Correct.
That was my first task when this pandemic happened, and I outsmarted myself in a lot of files. Because you also mentioned something about you should be able to find that information within a certain amount of clicks.
Yeah, with a certain amount of clicks. So it could be 5 to 7. It just depends on how much information is within a document. So for example, this is something that we did just recently, actually. And it was about just having people, just find information that they're looking for about COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, if you just want information about COVID within the United States, that's just one click, right?
Yeah.
But then if you have something a little bit more complex, like the training SAP training manual, it's going to take a few. Right. So I think that was about 4 or 5 clicks right over there before you got to the actual benefits of SAP.
And anything under 30 minutes, I'm really happy.
But again, it's
as opposed to just clicking the main topic and then having to scroll through pages to find the information.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's another way, right? So I think it's a control shift click, what Word uses, where if you're in the table of contents, and if someone, first of all, if someone formatted the the Word document properly, that will work. Otherwise, it won't. It'll take you to the information, but then what if you want to go back to your information? What if you want to go back to, let's say, the table of contents? So for example, over here, you're on POS navigation, but you're like, oh, I want to go back to the top. Like, what's the table of contents? So instead of having to scroll all the way up in one click, you're back to the main information page.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interactive PDFs.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I mean, the main thing is, I mean, you're helping your customers to save their customers time.
Yes, that's it. It's all about time savings. It's all about time savings, and time savings can account for so many things. So it can account for your opportunity cost, it can account for performance, and it can just account for general well-being. I mean, we've all been there. Just trying to find information can sometimes be such a hassle, and that hassle can cost you some money. I mean, let's say, for example, you're preparing for a presentation and you only have 15 minutes, and it's like, oh, where's this sample? Where's that document? Where's that video? So on and so forth. And again, taking back the room analogy, it's in your hard drive, it's in the Google Drive, it's in Dropbox, but where exactly? Where?
On your costing page on the beginning there, you said an employee costs 80,000 a year, and then
Yes,
somehow
so
you
let me bring that up again.
Yeah, somehow you got to not accessing information was costing you 48,000 a week, or like 2.5 million a year. How did
Yes,
you
so I'll share my
extrapolate
screen
that?
again. See, yeah, for sure. Give me 1 second. How do I share again? Right over here. So, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this was specifically taken from an IDC study, and the link of that study is right down here. And what it is that they took on average of a big company, on average, what's the salary that they pay out? And on average, it's about $80,000, right? So the way they extrapolated is that on average, and if you read different studies, this average changes. So it can go from as low as like 1.8 to as high as 3 or 3.5. But on average, with this specific study, it takes about 2.5 hours a day, or 30% of work hours an employee spends every day just looking for information. Now that can be taken into different ways. So for example, if you do a quick Google search about a word means, that's looking for information. If you're looking for an application form that you have to send out to a client, or an agreement or an NDA, that's finding information, right? And so, you know, depending on how well organized you are, and obviously depending on your level of experience, where, you know, if you're a new employee, obviously it's going to take you a lot longer than if you're an experienced employee, then that accounts for, you know, you finding information. And so what happens is that most of the issue comes with information not being centralized or indexed properly, right? Which is about 35–50% typically. So like I said before, just because you all dump it within one server or within one file doesn't mean that's centralized properly.
Yeah, so but where I see the problem is that you got a 80,000 salary per annum for an employee.
Yes.
But somehow, even though they're only spending 30% of their time searching,
right,
it's costing 48,000 a week, which would be a salary of
so
250,000 a year.
Like it's missing the number of employees that this is a you know, speaking about. I think that's the number.
This is speaking to a number of employees within the company. This is
and they don't give you that data. They didn't tell you how many employees.
No, I just didn't include it. It is within it for sure.
Oh, okay.
Many employees.
That's why I was kind of looking at that, going,
no. So it's not over half their income that's being spent. This is due to a number of employees. How much was it? I think it was. I'm sorry, I can't remember. That's my mistake.
You know what, Carlos? You know, I look at 2.5 hours per day. Yeah, maybe some days, but other days it's less. And other days, I'm telling you, I've spent hours looking for stuff. You know,
absolutely
in a day, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's a good number.
Yeah.
And I can relate to this from the cooperators, because you need to find different forms for doing things. Sometimes you don't know if it's a form. Just the other day, I phoned their wealth thing. I said, listen, I got people who I've reviewed them. I've got the profile they should be in now. Aside from submitting that form, do I have to submit another form? And they're like, yeah, actually, there's another form you have to submit that will allow us to change it, even though it all says it in this other document already. I did it the quick way. I phoned, so it only took me minutes instead of hours, you know. And sometimes that's what you just have to do, is you just have to reach out, because you're right, information, and especially like with us, it's in different systems. So wealth stuff is over here, and then there's stuff for auto, there's stuff here, and home there, and it's not all in one central, this is where you find everything. So it makes it you know, whoever puts it up there, they go, oh yeah, this is easy. But it's the old thing of, you should never write something and proofread it, because you're not actually reading what's on the piece of paper. You're reading what you think you wrote, and whether that's actually easy to dissect by the user is a whole other question.
You know, I'll throw one other thing in there. It's never just one person, is it, Kathryn? I mean, when I'm looking for something, I'm looking for it, but then what do? I turn to Teresa and I go, hey, Teresa, you know, where's this? And next thing you know, you got 2 people looking for it, right? So, you know.
And then what if Teresa doesn't know? It's like, oh, Maggie, where is this? 3 people looking for one piece of information that Ivan should have found. But yeah, so again, that's the thing, right? It's, again, I just keep going back to it because I love it. It's exactly what Ivan said. It's the old Rolodex, right? Where your contacts within that Rolodex, and you can just scroll through it, find the contact information, and then dial it up.
Adam will explain to you what a Rolodex is later. Yeah, no, I can see a lot of applications, like you said, like a real estate, for sure. And Michael, yeah, especially yours, eh? That would, oh.
Michael, you might be on mute.
Yeah.
I could see it being useful for like textbooks for a student.
Yeah, so we've approached Seneca College and we approached Rotman, and we did finish. I can show you the sample. Give me 1 second. So we finished one for Rotman back in February, where they had a toolkit. Sorry, just give me 1 second so I can pull it up.
While we're doing that, Adam, would you mind doing your introduction while Carlos is getting set up? So
yeah, sure. Sure. My name is Adam. I am mobile. I am a freelance web designer and mobile developer and founder of Adamant Industries. And I want to make the website or app of your dreams a reality. My most adamant belief is perfection through iteration. That no matter how long it takes and what it takes, we can make anything possible.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, Adam.
Okay.
So what programs were you using for developing this, Carlos?
I'm also interested.
So mostly what we use is we use a combination of PowerPoint and Adobe Suite. And then for programming, that's because there's some depending on the file and depending on the features, there's also some programming involved. And that's something that our graphic designer, because he knows coding, uses. I'm not sure what the name of it is. I can get back to you on that. But okay, here, I have the file.
You found it? Okay. We'll get to you, Teresa, I promise.
So yeah, and the reason why I say this is because this was something that was brought up when I was first talking with Kathryn and Ivan, and that when we deliver your interactive PDF belongs entirely to you. And if you wish to make any changes or updates, it's totally within your power, because you can use, Adobe Suite, or you can use PowerPoint, depending on what format you want the source file to be in order to make those changes and edits. The reason why we don't really recommend that is because although it is possible, what typically happens and what we found out is that people, because they're unfamiliar with the file or they're unfamiliar with the way that we create interactive PDFs, is that they break the file. So certain features or functionalities stop working. And so they spent all this time making your updates, but now they broke the file. So now it still has to come back to us anyways.
Yeah.
So what we always recommend is that if there are, again, it's up to you. Like, it's like when you buy your stereo, when you buy your computer, you do whatever you want with it. But what we do is we recommend that you send it to us because we're more familiar with it, and because you don't run the danger of someone breaking the file and then just having to pay extra money to get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you actually make something like that has a multiple choice question answer using PowerPoint? You said you use PowerPoint and then change it into...
we can do it using PowerPoint. Well,
like if you had something,
with the multiple choice, it's a little bit more complicated.
Because you want a clickable answer, right?
Yeah, so with multiple choice, it would not be with PowerPoint. That would be a mixture, like I said, and it might even involve coding depending on what outputs you're looking for. So case in point, this one over here, this would be like multiple choice, right?
Yeah.
You have a question here and then you're clicking this. So this is not possible at all with PowerPoint. This is a mixture of Adobe Suite features that we use.
Okay.
And depending on the output that you want, you might need some coding. Right, so if you just want this or something a little bit more complicated, then that requires coding.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've taken a little interest in this stuff lately because we have this document which we use for assessing risk profiles. And in our online application for a new investment, they have an interactive one of those. So when you put in all the answers at the end, it says you're a moderate or you're a conservative. It actually shows you what profile you should be putting your investment into. But they don't make it available as a PDF, which would be really helpful, like when we're doing client reviews. So I've been asking these guys, let's make this easy. Instead of me going through and doing a webinar with the client, then after I'm done, I got to mark everything on the paper. I have to go back. I have to scan it in the office. Now, because clients, you don't want them printing and trying to figure out stuff.
Yeah.
You got to mail it to them using snail mail. They got to mail it back to you, which means you got to make an envelope and put a stamp on it in there to mail it back. Because otherwise, there's another step that, you just, and it's really small and it's slow. It's time consuming, right? Whereas if we had this as an interactive thing, we can do online signatures. Do you agree to this? Yes. Great. I sign it too. I email you a copy, or I mail you a printed copy. I submit the other one and I'm done. Now it's a big work project, which involves many hours because it's not interactive. And I'm going, why can't you guys take that document you already have in the application and make it that interactive PDF that we can use? To me, it doesn't seem like it should be that complicated, but maybe it is.
So the issue is that it is and it isn't. It's just all about the mentality when it comes to technology, right? So people are always quick to move on to the newest technology. And what happens is, all right, there's two ways to put it. Sorry, let me start again. So people are quick to move on to the newest technology. Case in point, when it comes to new phones, right? The reason why companies still come out with new phones is because there's still a large market of people who will buy phones yearly or twice a year. So they don't have to, create a phone and then take 5 years of R&D in order to develop another phone. Everything is now within months or weeks. Same thing when it comes to software, right? Everyone likes to jump onto the newest software as soon as possible because it just has extra features or it covers weak points from the previous version of the software. And then what happens is that this is another side of it. People just never really become 100% familiar with the original software. So I'll give you an example that all of you can definitely relate to. We've all used and still, I'm sure, continue using Microsoft Word, but would you call yourself an expert on all the features and everything that Microsoft Word can do? Or do you think you only know maybe 10, 20, 30, 40%, even 80%? But you've been using it for years.
Yeah. You get to know what you need to know.
Exactly. So people just rely on knowing what they need to know. And so they don't really take advantage of all the software features. So this is something I learned when we were doing the ERP project, is the same thing happens when it comes to ERP or SAP, comes in different names, is that, you deploy it and it comes with a whole bunch of features and can really help you, but the average employee just learns what they need to know. And then when a situation comes up where it's something beyond that, that's when they really run into trouble. But yeah, so that's what happens. And that's mostly why, we're doing this, is that we're using pretty much old technology, because PDF has been around since, if I remember correctly, the 90s. And yet a lot of its functionality and features aren't widely implemented, right? Most people just use it as a protected form of a Word file in order to maintain the layout and the structure. So as I was saying before, I think it was Adam who brought it up. This could be used for textbooks. So this wasn't a textbook. This was a toolkit developed by Professor Brendan Calder and Dr. John O'Dwyer in the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto. And what they had originally was a 200-page toolkit, let's just call it a training manual for a course that they do within Rotman. And they wanted to make it interactive. And so they came to us, and that's pretty much what we did, where we just, again, organized all their information properly. Sorry, I got to keep moving this Zoom window with all your faces left and right. Just like that. Now, as I said before, what we allow is that we can attach what's it called? We can attach documents within the PDF file, so they're already downloaded, and you don't have to click online. And if you just click that button, there's the relevant information, and it's right there, right? So there was your first one, there was your second one, and that's one of the best features, I have to say, is that you can access whatever information that you want offline. So you don't have to be connected online in order to open this. We do recommend that you use the Adobe Reader, just because it includes for all the features that we like to include. Other formats, such as if you open it in the web browser, don't always include all the features.
And when you're saying about bringing other content in, I mean, you're also, Michael, able to bring in like Excel.
Yes, so we can include Excel and Microsoft on it. I just preferred everything to be in PDF because, again, the risk that you run whenever you transfer something in Excel or PDF is it's very software version dependent. So, for example, if you save a Word file in docx, but then you send it to someone who has an older version of Microsoft Word, then they won't be able to open the Microsoft file in docx. They have to open it with an older version. So it comes out as doc. I'm sure you've all run into this before. And what that does is that same thing, it can affect any type of features that you've included in the docx format, or it can just completely ruin the layout. But yes, it is entirely possible. Just in this case with this client, I specifically wanted in PDF so we wouldn't run into that issue.
I have a question, Carlos.
Yeah.
So I run a residential and commercial cleaning company, and I wanted to know if I send off a proposal for a client after I did a walkthrough, and then I give them all the options, and they told me they wanted this package, but I send them over, and then they're looking at the other options and say, you know what, I actually want this package. Can they switch the package that they want in this interactive PDF and then let it spit out a new number for them so that I don't have to get an email from them saying, you know what, I want this package. Can you resend me a new proposal so I can get the numbers on that? Is there a feature like that in this interactive PDF?
Let me see. I have a prototype that might speak to what you're asking for. Can you just give me a second?
Yeah.
Just so I'm sure exactly what it is you're asking.
Teresa, are you there? Can you do your introduction while Carlos is? Okay, fine. No, she must be busy. No problem.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen again.
Yeah.
So this was a prototype that we developed last year, and we mostly use it to just play around and see what are some of the things that we can and cannot do. And then I think, sorry, what was your name again? Who was
Anthony?
Anthony, sorry, Anthony. So one of the things we were thinking about is, would it be possible to do calculations? So can you do some calculations? Just for example, they were giving, if you send out proposals or if you send out for quotes, and let's say you have a product PDF, right? So let's take a furniture company, for instance, and they want a chair and they want to calculate it. Maybe you would have an equation. So in this case, we were just using a financial wealth advisor. And you can definitely change it, and then the amount will come out. So that's one way we can do it for you, Anthony. But then the other way would be just like what I was mentioning over here. So say, for example, let's say this is a mannequin, and then this line would be, you want the $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 option. If they click it, and then they're like, oh, wait, before they send it, they're like, no, I don't want the $10,000 one, I want the $15,000 one. Then they can do that. All they have to do from there is just save. And then submit to you. And because it's saved and submitted to you, then they can come back to you and say, oh, you know what, I actually wanted the $10,000 one. Because then you can go back to them and say, but wait, you know, you sent me the quote, or you sent me the proposal back with the $15,000 option. Here I have it saved. you can't just tell me that this is what you wanted when this is what you saved and clicked, right? There were deliberate steps in order to send in the proposal.
And then there's an option for e-signature in these PDFs also?
Yes, there is an option for e-signature. The reason why I don't mention it here is because, I don't know what program other people are using, right? So I don't know if they'll have the e-signature option or not. Obviously, they can have it, but that doesn't mean they have it in the instance that they receive this, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then how much is a PDF like this cost?
So it depends on what you want.
So something like I just explained to you.
Something like a proposal like that fall under the realm of an indexing PDF. So typically our interactive PDFs start at $10,000. And that's with all the basic features where we take, we take all your material, we take your branding guidelines, and then we format it in a way, something like this, where you pretty much have your digital Rolodex. And then depending on the features and depending on the content, the price starts to go up. So for example, if you want a full-on training document, like this one over here, this one highly depends on how much content you're giving us to transform, right? So if it's something simple, like for example, you just want a call center operations manual because your retail service department and insurance support are doing well, then something like that would probably run between $10,000 to $20,000. But then if you want something more like retail plus service department plus insurance support, then that starts going up. And then and then it obviously depends on what sort of interactivity you want. So for example, do you want to add, do you want to add quizzes? So this is a little bit more complicated because you want to make sure that people aren't changing their answers beforehand, and you want to make sure that their answers are saved, right? So in that case, that would be the case for you, right? You want to avoid anyone being able to change their proposals later on. That way you avoid any sort of price dispute. So yeah, so what it is what we do is we give clients pretty much a discovery sheet, and it's pretty thorough where we just ask them exactly what it is that you want. That way we're in agreement, and that way we make sure that we understand everything that you want and you understand everything that you want to give us. Because sometimes what happens is, on week one, they're like, okay, we want this, this, and this, and we all agree, we all sign it. And then a month later, it's like, oh, but we also want this, or no, you know what we actually meant was this, but it wasn't included in the initial discussions, right?
Okay, so you're saying about 10K.
Yes, and then from there, again, it just depends if you want additional features or not.
But, I should just jump in here and just say that, there is a cost, of course, to everything, but also think about how it differentiates you from anybody else, right?
Yeah.
You happen to have a PDF that's going to save them time. I don't know if when you look at a PDF that somebody has, sometimes you just look at the PDF and you just go, oh man, you know what? I don't have time to read this right now. You might save it and move on. You never go back to it. But this one actually allows people to go and take a look at what you're offering and actually go through the document, and know that it's going to be a resource, as opposed to just another file that they're going to save on the, and they actually need an interactive PDF to be able to find that document that they just saved before anyway. So so just think about the sexiness factor.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a differentiator for sure.
Yeah.
Carlos?
Yes.
I'm thinking IKEA big time.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, so that's the other thing, right? So I've had questions is like, well, what if we put it on a website? I'm like, yeah, you can put it on a website for sure, absolutely. But at the same time, with a website, it's already cluttered with additional information, first of all. So, you don't only have your online catalog on the website, but you also have information about the company. You have other sources or other information for whatever it is that IKEA is trying to sell. If we're using the IKEA example, the PDF, what we like to do is make, first of all, information much more specific, right? So for example, if your catalog is just going to be about furniture, then let it just be about furniture. Don't include any other services like your restaurant services or your branches opening up or the new CEO has been, The new CEO has been hired, nothing like that. Just make it specific. Second of all, we allow offline capabilities. So that's if you want to browse the online catalog of IKEA, you have to be online. Whereas with an interactive PDF, you can have it offline, right? So let's say you're sitting in the subway, or let's say you're at the cottage and you're like, you know what? I really think this beach chair would look really good by the lake. And then instead of having to need internet connection, you've already downloaded your IKEA catalog and you can just browse it right there.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of how much money I just spent at the IKEA catalog.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
I need a house first.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's excellent. Any other questions, guys, folks, ladies, gentlemen? No? Wow, Carlos, that was amazing. And oh, sorry, I didn't.
Just if anybody would like to, I don't know if you have a link to something, Carlos, that if people want to refresh their memories, if you want to just send it out to them, or if you'd like, just chat with Kathryn and we can include it in the next newsletter that goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm writing down the contact information right now on the chat. Sorry, I was just busy with everything else.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I even remembered to remind you.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, Adam, there you go. Yeah. And Teresa, if you are around, just hop on whenever you can, if you can. Because I know she's always like on the go. And like Cynthia was. Yeah.
Always on the go for sure.
So yeah, and like I said, we started last year. And yeah, and we're just looking always for new and more improved ways of delivering interactive PDFs to whoever we can, right? Because COVID has really given us some time to breathe and really look into this and see specifically where we're going. Because like I said before at the beginning, there's just a new phenomenon in the world where, well, first of all, people were forced to start working from home.
Mm-hmm.
And then second of all, it's sort of proven that people can work from home and be efficient and, you know, perform their tasks and actually be productive. Whether they have kids or whether they have other responsibilities, it works. And so there's a trend. I don't remember how big, because I remember reading this about a month ago and times have been changing so quickly, but there is a trend for companies to see just how far they can push it, right? So, you know, do they have to keep office space open or not? Or do employees have to come in 5 days a week into the office? Or can they be a little bit more flexible in terms of people wanting to work from home or not? It's
yeah,
it's interesting.
I can tell you that, sorry, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, Carlos, I could.
You just disappeared there.
Yeah, we're the pioneer in virtual office technology. So, and maybe one of the days I'll do a presentation on that.
Yeah. Because I can tell you, my daughter's boyfriend, he's in financial sector, worked on Bay Street, right, when the offices were open, and they found their employees were so efficient at home that they gave up their lease on Bay Street, and now they're just going to use a shared, you know, they've given them a budget at a shared office kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to have your team meetings or meet with a client, you know, that's what you've got access to. But yeah, he's like permanent at home now.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could do that too.
Survey that was done, they said that people are 13% more efficient working at home. So
13, that's all. I thought it would have been higher than that.
they probably interviewed people like me.
Yeah.
We don't have 17 coffee breaks, right?
Yeah, that's right. Or anybody do that? Or anybody. Well, but when you go for a coffee, you go for a coffee and you chat. And then anybody you pass by, right? That coffee break or just running to get a coffee can take a half an hour.
Yeah.
But at home, it's just to get to the kitchen, brew the coffee, maybe a washroom stop on the way back, and that's it, right?
And for those folks who still smoke, they have to not only leave the building, but get onto the sidewalk or get off the, you know, get off the entire property. Right? So, you know, it takes a lot of time.
It does. It does. Well, that's great. So again, Carlos, thank you very much. And you've got your information in there so that, and their website's really good too. They've got lots of examples and they even give the free trial, right? So,
yes, correct.
There's a lot of great information if you go through their website and see all the different things they've got.
Oh yeah, we had free trial. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I just want to make a reminder of you guys for Monday morning is the Monday morning hustle with Sherry, right at 8:30. I don't remember what we were doing this week. Do you?
Do you know
it's
what?
always something really good about.
But I don't remember what the topic is, but it'll be fantastic. As usual, Sherry's always prepared.
Yeah, and then Wednesday night, or do we have a Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Networking?
Do you know what? We're working on networking. I'm waiting for this special guest to bring me back. So
Okay.
I've been holding off until I get the confirmation.
So keep watch on the website and Facebook,
Yes.
right? For this great city. And Wednesday night is Melissa with the Mastermind Jam. Is that how you say that? Yeah. They do all the financial about cryptocurrencies and investing and making money. I like the making money part. All the other stuff is I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
I always like making money.
Yeah. Who
I
doesn't?
need more. I need a new camera. I need more.
Don't we all? Yeah.
We all have a wish
Plus,
list.
I kind of like to have a house someday again.
Yeah. And then, of course, every Thursday.
When it comes to making money, you know, we do have folks on here like Michael who deals with investments and making sure that you've gotten money, especially for retirement. So we do have Michael here. We also have folks like Yuri that can help you invest in assets.
Yeah.
Real assets. So there you go.
That's
Feel
right.
free to reach out to any one of them.
Yeah, that's right. And so please do not forget to go a minimum onto this great city website and become a citizen, right? It allows you to get discounts at all the different vendors. Oh, I see Yuri waving in it, kind of, sorry, squirrel.
Just wanted to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and then remember that we becoming a member allows you to get your business. Oh wow, spotlighted on the website. As well as a link to your website. And Ivan, the price is that is?
Yeah, so that price that's on the website right now, which is, I think it's $260 for the year, that ends at the end of June. It goes back up to $490 for July 1st. So if you want to jump on and save some money and get some really great perks, it's a steal for that price. So just go on to the website, thisgreatcity.com, and sign up if you want to be a business member with a directory listing and the ability to do some really cool things online, like programs like this. That would be awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
Kathryn, do we have a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, really?
Yep, go right ahead, Jerry.
If I can show the screen, can you share the screen with me so I can show what that virtual platform looks like? Just a quick 2 minutes.
Right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You can do the share. Yep.
If people don't mind.
No, not at all. Go ahead.
So basically, that's what it looks like. That's me, kind of blondish or bald, you know.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Holy Christ!
Amazing.
So then I can walk anywhere in the campus, right? I can actually run, unlike real life.
Oh, let's see you run. I want to see you run.
Yeah.
But it's not good. So I can. So within this, we have. It's lagging a little bit, right? But we have all kinds of things. So welcome area, auditoriums, like Canadian operations. There's all kinds of things, right? Then I can go there. Let's say I go. Well, let's go right there. I don't have to run. I don't have to jump. So it'll take a little bit of time because it's just going. Well, again, I'm watching Zoom and everything else. So,
Yeah.
so luckily no one is here. But this is an auditorium. Basically, this is where you do. This could be custom. Okay, here you go. That thing, that globe could be customized, and so it looks like we have a fin track.
Is this the real space or a virtual space?
It's a virtual space, but I mean, like, you can go like as you would go on a conference. This is you would go to this space, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're watching intently.
I think the video is froze basically, but yeah, and I don't know if I can still.
If there were other people in the room right now, we'd see people in the room that we don't.
Absolutely, that's what I was kind of trying to do, but I guess nobody's there right now. And of course it's froze, so you can't really watch. You can't really watch Zoom and everything else. Oh, there you go. I think it's on. Okay.
I've been hearing about stuff like that other companies have been investing in, like,
yeah,
virtual offices. This is neat.
So it's not. So yeah, basically that's that.
So Yuri.
Yeah. Hold on.
If there was somebody doing the presentation right now, he'd be on the stage. We'd be able to.
He'd be on the stage. You'd see him. You see everybody with the name tag on top of their hat, and you can. So if you have a question for them, they would be all here. So you basically you go here and you can actually browse your computer for upload the file, and it goes to my file and everything else, right? So
wow, that's kind of neat.
You can go. Well, obviously you can unmute, mute. You can text everybody in this room. But I want to go to medium operations just to get out. Again, it's taken a little bit longer than I was thinking to do, but
I know there's a tendency to do that.
So what's the cost, Yuri, of?
It differs, but it's not significant. So for from 10 to 100 people, I believe it's about $100 or $200, something like that a month. If it's a charity, it's actually $50 or 50% off. So let's say you have a church, Ivan, and you want to have a congregation get together kind of thing. This is what you can do. You can have your congregation of 100 people or something like that, and book this auditorium. When you book an auditorium, is a little bit more, but again, it's good for those people that don't have the church or the group outgrew the church or something like that. Or when Carlos mentioned about courses, right? So that's a perfect platform to run the courses. And of course, it's pros again. So my computer probably doesn't have the resources to run Zoom and this at the same time. So
what a great idea for churches. You bet. I mean, I wish I could show my
especially now that you're still only at 30%. Yeah.
And so I sit down, I guess. So then I can go and zoom in, basically,
okay.
So I mean, there's all kinds of things that just, like I said, it's not. They've thought of a few things, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and I can go to main office. This is one I wanted to show you kind of in a second, but I think it's just taking.
And what's the name again, Yuri?
Well, it's our EXP Think platform, but like I said, now it's open up to. So, for example, you have the offices there. I don't think there's anyone here yet. Yeah, nobody there. Let me go around. Yeah, see. Anyway.
So I'm noticing names on these offices. Are those real people that have taken
those are
spaces?
Yeah, those are real. Like there's all real.
Adam, what a brilliant idea, because the more people you get, the system just adds a hallway and more offices. Brilliant.
Yeah, you can add different offices. That's not a problem. So when you go in, like these areas, kind of, when you go inside, this is a private room. So you can chat, nobody hears you.
Oh, this is built in though, because this looks like a this looks kind of like Unity for some reason. I don't know why.
So you go in and here you can do presentation. It's all circled, or there's square that you, well, if you within that circle, nobody can hear you. And of course you can do the presentation on the screen and everything. I'll share the info and that kind of stuff. Right? But that's kind of again, I go in, I see, I don't know why nobody's here today, but
that's because you were trying to show it off. Yeah.
They might
the
be
way
in
it generally
Lindsay.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's meeting rooms. That's smaller meeting rooms. Of course, this is could be rented as well. Or there's two different kind of types of membership. One is the suites, and one is the auditorium. Auditorium obviously is more expensive, but that's if you compare going to conference hall and paying thousands of dollars, right?
Oh.
Then it's so I'm getting out of this thing.
Did you? I was going to ask. Did you just get on the elevator?
No, just getting out of that room and go into the normal. This takes a little bit of time, but
it's interesting because I have an online course this weekend. That's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to make sure that I have breakout rooms and all that kind of stuff. But this would solve all that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I'm trying to. Going too quick. So for example, this thing here, it's click to open, right? And it opens right on my screen, and it shows me all of the courses or meetings that we're going to have this week. Of course, it will open eventually.
So this is on expcloud.com.
It's this is, you're not going to see this because this is internal. You're not going to, I don't think you're going to get that. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know. But all of these are basically courses that we have. Tell me which other company, real estate company, has 20 courses in one day.
Wow.
So basically, now if I knew how to get out of this, it would be great. So that's pretty much it. So, and of course.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah, that is really neat.
And I'm drunk. Sorry.
My God, I thought I was the only one in the morning. No, that was years ago when I was in my 20s at a festival. I don't drink in the morning anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, so I've done my presentation. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Interesting, Gary. Thanks.
But again, go ahead.
Yeah. So everybody got your, don't forget to make sure if you haven't got it, get your information in the chat so that Carlos has access to it and you have access to it. And Carlos will Ivan will make sure that you get the information, right? Because Ivan's the assigned god of Zoom.
You may or may not see me next
week. Let that slide, because I thought she'd jump in there and go.
And Thunder's gonna strike me really soon for that. But anyway, and the video will be up for anybody that had to come in and out because they had other stuff going. So again, Carlos from Herrera from Interactive PDF, thank you very much for your time, and have a great weekend. And we will see everybody Monday morning.
Thank you.
You may or may not see me next week.